A nearly 50-year-old rapper walked onto a podcast set this week, slid dark shades over his eyes so no camera on earth could catch what his pupils were doing, and told the world that the woman he's publicly running around with, while his legal wife of nearly 2 decades sits on a divorce that still, as of this moment, has not been signed by a single judge, is the greatest thing that has ever happened to him. Not his 4 kids. Not the woman who married him over a jailhouse phone. Not the woman who came home, renewed her vows, and rebuilt an entire career at his side. The side chick. He said it from behind tinted lenses, because even Papoose knows what the rest of us learned in the 3rd grade. The eyes will always tell on you before the tongue can finish the sentence. And now, with Claressa Shields going on record about a baby in 2026, with a Big Bronx remix of Ever Since You Left Me sitting on Spotify, with Remy Ma bodying every bar, and with Papoose's own mouth on the Danza Project episode 242 building a case against himself in real time, everything you thought you knew about this so-called black love story just collapsed. There is a straight line between the sunglasses on the Danza Project set, the baby announcement Claressa dropped on Way Up with Angela Yee, and the divorce that never actually finalizes no matter how many times Papoose posts about it. Everybody has been watching Claressa. Everybody should have been watching the money. Everybody has been watching Papoose gush. Everybody should have been watching the paperwork that keeps not showing up. And when we reach the part where the Big Bronx remix numbers, the podcast tour, and the missing divorce decree all line up on the same page, and I promise you we are getting there, you're going to understand this thing was never about love. It was never about black love. It was about a fading rapper who found a new meal ticket, and this one wears boxing gloves. Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe. Let's get into it. Let's peel this back, because the story doesn't start where the internet keeps insisting it starts. Papoose, born Shamil Mackey, is a Brooklyn lyricist who's been grinding for over 20 years. Mixtape after mixtape, forever tied to the late DJ K. Slay, forever tied to Remy Ma. She born Reminisce Smith is a Grammy-nominated MC, a Terror Squad alum, and one of the most respected female pens in the history of the genre. These two crossed paths in New York in 2000 for while cutting a record together, and that collaboration bled into a courtship, then a marriage, then a family. When she was sentenced to 6 years on an assault charge in 2007, Papoose did something rappers rarely do. He stayed. He drove upstate. He accepted the collect calls. He married her over a prison phone while she was still behind the wall. She walked out in 2014. They renewed their vows in 2016 and welcomed their daughter, Reminisce Mackenzie, in 2018. For a long stretch, the culture treated the two of them as the gold-plated standard of hip-hop devotion. The loyal husband who never flinched. The reformed queen who came home and built. That was the packaging. The culture bought every syllable because it was clean, redemptive, and made everybody feel better about loyalty in a genre that rarely rewards it. Then, the paint started peeling. In December of 2024, Remy went straight to her own audience and openly accused Papoose of stepping outside the marriage with Claressa Shields, a 3-division world champion boxer, a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, and by any honest measurement the greatest woman to ever lace up gloves. Claressa is younger, wealthier, decorated, and as of this moment, publicly attached to a man who is still legally married to another woman. The two of them went public almost immediately after the smoke started rising. Papoose eventually filed for divorce in May of 2025, posted the paperwork to Instagram after another social media dust-up, and alleged his wife had cheated on him multiple times after her release from prison, according to Power 105.1 and Yahoo Entertainment. Here is where the whole thing snaps in half. As of this July 2026 recording, more than 14 months after that filing hit Instagram, there is still no signed decree. Remy Ma herself went on Instagram Live in the spring and offered to pay Papoose's own divorce attorney, according to the griot, because at this point even she can see he is dragging his feet on purpose. That gap between what was filed for the optics and what has actually been resolved in a courtroom is the address where every lie in the Danza Project interview is currently living rent-free. And the question that matters isn't whether Papoose loves Claressa Shields. The question is why a grown man who insists she is the best thing that ever happened to him won't do the bare minimum, one signature act that would prove it. Sign the paperwork. Close the case. Free the woman he says he already left. That question is what this entire breakdown is going to answer. Let's roll the tape. Papoose sat down with the Danza Project for episode 242. He was asked directly about the scrutiny, the drag fest, and how the journey has been treating him. Sitting indoors, with black sunglasses on, he looked at the host and said Claressa is the best thing that has ever happened to him. Stop right there. Piece of evidence number 1. He was asked about the noise, the criticism, the daily online demolition his relationship has been taking for over a year and a half now. Instead of answering any of that, he reached into a coat pocket and pulled out a rehearsed love line. He didn't address the drama. He didn't address the receipts. He didn't address the fact that half the culture has already convicted him. He recited a headline and moved on like the question never happened. Does everybody see how strange that is? You are asked about a controversy, and you respond with a bumper sticker? That is not answering. That is auditioning. That is a man who has been coached, drilled, and cued to deflect. And he did all of it from behind tinted plastic, so you couldn't check his eyes against his mouth. Piece of evidence number 2. The correction he made in real time. He starts by saying she is the best thing that ever happened to him. Half a breath later, he adjusts it to she is one of the best things that has ever happened to him. Some people will say that's just how people talk. Look closer. The first sentence was an absolute. The second sentence is a hedge. That is not a slip. That is a subconscious brake pedal. Because even Papoose realized mid-sentence that calling a woman he has been publicly attached to for barely a year and a half the best thing in his life sounded absurd when he has 4 kids and a 2-decade marriage in the rear view. His own brain caught the lie and softened it live. The sunglasses meant you didn't get to see the second his eyes registered the correction. Piece of evidence number 3. The pause. After calling her very beautiful, very outgoing, he stops. He hesitates. Then he loops back with so much love, so much fun, smart. That pause is the most honest half-second in the entire clip, and it is honest because it was unplanned. When you speak from real feeling, the adjectives arrive in a rush. When you recite from a mental checklist, your brain has to load the next word. In that pause, you can actually watch the machinery running. Beautiful, check. Outgoing, check. Pause. What was the next one? Love, fun, smart. He was reading, not remembering. Piece of evidence number 4. The Instagram reel that Danza's own team clipped and posted. It has been circulating for weeks. The comment sections underneath every repost are a graveyard. Fans are asking why the shades are on indoors. Fans are asking why he sounds like he is on trial. Fans are asking why a man supposedly in love has to work this hard to sell it. Does anybody else notice how much labor he is doing to sound casual? And I haven't even gotten to the biggest surface piece yet, the tour. Papoose has been running a podcast run that would embarrass a senator. Vlad TV, The Breakfast Club, XXL Revolt, Rock the Bells, The Danza Project. Every microphone, every couch, every green room. In every single sit-down, the pattern repeats. He gushes. He dodges every question about the noise. And not one time, not one single time, has any host looked him in the face and said, "Pap, you filed over a year ago. Where is the actual final decree?" That is not an accident. That is a media ecosystem that has decided the drama is more profitable than the truth. And oh, do I have more for you. If you thought a sunglasses clip on the Danza Project set was the whole story, if you thought this was just a man performing on a couch, you are not remotely prepared for what the culture is actually doing around this. The stands running defense for this pairing, calling it black love, telling everybody else to leave grown people alone, are really not going to enjoy the next stretch. Because Remy Ma has not been quiet. She has not been sitting in a corner watching her name get dragged through subtweets. Remy has been in the booth. And what she keeps putting on wax is making every one of Papoose's podcast confessions sound like a middle school love note passed under a desk in 7th period. What I'm about to walk you through is not gossip. This is documented, verifiable, recorded evidence that has already gone viral across Reddit's r/Hiffapeds, Complex, The Shade Room, and Vibe. Stay locked in. Let's move into the cultural layer, where this stops being gossip and starts being history. Cultural piece number 1. Her diss record WIFL Complex reported that Remy went straight at both Papoose and Claressa on the record, with the title standing for Why You Fucking Lying. The bars are surgical. She is not slinging generic slander. She is naming behaviors and referencing years of shared life no outsider could fake. One of the most quoted lines, replayed all over Reddit's Hiffapeds thread, jabs at how his network functions and drops a deeply personal reference to the intimacy inside the marriage. It's the kind of line that makes you inhale sharp, because only somebody who was actually there could write it. You cannot answer a diss track built on 2 decades of receipts with a sunglasses clip that recites the word outgoing. Cultural piece number 2. Her guest verse on Conway the Machine's Head Tap, flagged by Vibe. She went to Claressa directly, referencing the times Claressa has publicly offered to square up in a ring. She rapped that Claressa is number 2, that she is still the one, and made it clear she is not interested in throwing hands with a boxer. The positioning matters. She is not just spitting insults. She is drawing a hierarchy. She is telling the culture that as long as that divorce is not signed, she is the wife on paper, and Claressa, by legal definition, is the side. Everyone knows it, which is precisely why Claressa cannot stop responding, posting, insisting on X that Papoose is right there, and they are happy. The insecurity leaks through every caption. Cultural piece number 3, and this one is fresh. The Big Bronx remix of Ever Since You Left Me by French Montana, Max B, and Remy Ma. Hot New Hip Hop confirmed the drop date as June 5, 2026. The YouTube video Off from the Block has already crossed 2.8 million views in about a month. 2.8 million. That's not a niche diss. That is a chart-adjacent moment. Remy dropped a line the internet caught inside 45 minutes. Always the one, never the two. Told him find something dumb to play with. He picked you. The Shade Room's comment section became a mass grave for the Papoose Claressa fairy tale. Claressa herself confirmed the target by hopping on X and demanding to be named like Destiny's Child. Now, she has half a point. In hip-hop, if you're going to diss somebody, you name them. That's the rule. But here's where that argument collapses. There is no need to name Claressa because the culture already knows exactly who the bars are for. The subliminal works because the context is that public. Remy is not being scared. She is being surgical. She is letting the audience finish the sentence because the sentence is already written by reality. And Claressa's demand to be named reads less like confidence and more like a woman who is deeply uncomfortable with the fact that the culture has already picked a side. Cultural piece number 4, the counterplay. Claressa has been trying to change the narrative through her own PR moves. She confirmed to iHeart and Yahoo Entertainment that she and Papoose are planning to have a baby together in 2026. She even said on Way Up with Angela Yee that she wanted to give him one for his birthday. Think about what that actually is. That is not a natural announcement. That is a strategic press release. When the diss tracks pile up and the culture turns on you, you drop a baby plans headline to reset the news cycle. The Shadow League ran with the story. Vibe ran with it. All hip-hop ran with it. But look at the timing. Every time Remy scores a viral moment on Wax, a new Claressa human interest angle appears within the same news cycle. That is not coincidence. That is coordinated communications. And here is the counter-argument I know some of y'all are going to throw at me. People will say, maybe they really are in love. Maybe they really do want a family. Maybe I'm being cynical. Fair. Take the possibility seriously for a second. Then ask yourself a simple question. If they are that ready to build a family, why has the divorce still not been signed 14 months after the filing? A man ready for a baby with a new woman does not sit on divorce paperwork for over a year. A man performing readiness while quietly holding the marriage open does. Cultural piece number 5, the comment sections themselves. When the Shade Room posted Claressa's response to the Big Bronx remix, the reply thread was a burial. Comment after comment sided with Remy. One user wrote that if a diss track never said their name, they wouldn't assume it was about them, because they wouldn't consider themselves dumb enough to fit. Another said a hit dog will always holler. Another said meanwhile Pap is still legally married. And the one that captured the room, Claressa baby, we love you. Please leave that man's wife alone. This is a cultural consensus that has been quietly building for over a year and a half. The same audience that once respected Papoose as the loyal husband is now watching him sit on couches in shades gushing, while his wife drops versus the community is quoting bar for bar. The tide turned a long time ago. The podcast tour is not moving the numbers back. It is just handing everyone new material to meme. And this is the moment where we shift gears completely, because what you are looking at is bigger than one man on one podcast. It is a system. Now hold on. Everything I just walked you through, the shades, the pause, the diss tracks, the baby announcements, the Shade Room comment sections. That is the entertainment layer. That is the culture layer. That is what everybody is talking about at the barbershop. But if we stop there, we miss the actual story. Because what is really going on here has nothing to do with love, nothing to do with rap beef, and nothing to do with a boxing champion who dropped a baby plans headline on a podcast. What is actually going on here is an economic arrangement dressed up in a couple's photo shoot, propped up by a media ecosystem that gets paid to look the other way, following a historical playbook that entertainment has been running for decades. 3 systemic angles. Walk with me through each one, because this is where the reluctant truth teller in me has to sit up straight. Systemic angle number 1, the financial architecture. My read, based purely on the public record, is that Papoose has quietly re-engineered himself into a full-time companion, hype man, and brand ambassador for Claressa Shields. That arrangement has a financial job to do that has almost nothing to do with romance. Look at the ledger. He has a weekly Sirius XM slot on Rock the Bells. He carries an executive title in the independent music space. Those are real positions. Strip those away and ask what his primary public activity has been for 18 months. Promoting her, hyping her, walking beside her at events like the Detroit Auto Show promoting her February 2026 Little Caesars Arena defense. Training with her on camera ahead of her July 2026 fight against Kay Scott. Sitting on couches gushing about her. That is brand management work dressed up as courtship. And when you factor in that Claressa is a multi-million-dollar athlete, Papoose himself reacted to the reported $8 million deal on Fight Hype 24/7, and that his own music revenue has not moved a serious needle in years. The financial gravity here becomes impossible to ignore. I am not claiming she is cutting him a check. I am saying that when a man with limited independent income attaches himself to a wealthy woman, when his day-to-day public role is promoting her brand, and when he has walked away from his previous life to do so, the incentive structure lights up like a Christmas tree. Layer in the unfinished divorce, meaning he has never engaged with asset division, alimony math, or the financial dissolution of a 20-year marriage, and the delay starts to look less like an accident and more like a feature. A man living on someone else's income has zero incentive to finalize a divorce that might obligate him to write a check to the wife he left. The delay is the whole point. Systemic angle number 2. The media ecosystem that keeps this circus in business. This is the piece that frustrates me most. The podcast circuit, Vlad TV, the Danza Project, the Breakfast Club, XXL, Revolt, Rock the Bells, all of it, has evolved into an attention economy where controversy is the currency and integrity is a cost line. Every one of those platforms knows Papoose is still legally married. They still book him. They still let him gush. They still cut the clip. They never ask the one question that would end the tour. Why is the divorce not done? Because if any host looked at Papoose and said, Pap, you filed in May of 2025 and it's July 2026, please explain, that would be the final interview that host ever conduct with him. Papoose cannot answer honestly without exposing the arrangement. The platforms know it, which is why the question never leaves anyone's lips. That is not journalism. That is content farming. And he is the crop. The hip-hop podcast economy has quietly decided the most valuable guest is not the one with the best story. It is the one with the most unresolved drama, because unresolved drama produces infinite clips, and infinite clips produce infinite ad reads. Some will say the hosts are just doing their jobs, that it is not their place to press him on his personal life. That cop-out is exactly what keeps this loop running. When you platform a man performing a relationship while legally married to another woman, and never ask the obvious question, you are not neutral. You are complicit. And can we be honest for a second? Everybody knows exactly which hosts are complicit. Everybody knows which platforms took the easy check. The list is not that long. Systemic angle number 3, the historical pattern nobody wants to name. What Papoose is doing is not new. Attaching yourself to a wealthier, more successful woman and repackaging the attachment as devotion is a play that has existed in entertainment for decades. Aging men with fading cultural pull latch onto rising women with real financial power and convert that proximity into a personal platform. Hip-hop has a complicated relationship with this pattern because the culture historically celebrates the male rapper as the provider. When a female athlete is the primary financial engine, the culture reads it differently. When a man provides, he is a king. When a woman provides for a man, he is a question mark. That double standard is exactly the loophole he is exploiting. He is banking on the culture reading his situation with Claressa as love rather than logistics. He is banking on people watching a man gush about his girlfriend and forgetting to ask who is footing the bill. For a while, the play worked. But the culture is always sharper than the person trying to manipulate it. Over the last 18 months, the consensus has quietly flipped. Nobody forced it. The evidence just accumulated. The podcasts, the shades, the rehearsed love lines, the missing divorce, the baby plans press release timed to bury a diss record. It all added up and the culture did the math. The math is not friendly to Papoose. And every one of these three systems, the financial architecture, the media ecosystem, the historical playbook, is running at the same time, feeding the same conclusion, which is the one I said in a video a few weeks back, and which I am about to say again now. Here it is. Here is the sentence this entire breakdown has been walking toward. Sit with it. Papoose does not love Claressa Shields the way he keeps claiming. What Papoose loves is what she provides. He loves the platform. He loves the exposure. He loves the invitations. He loves that being publicly tethered to the greatest female boxer alive gets him seats at award shows, bookings on podcasts, features on XXL, clips on Vlad TV, segments on the Danza Project. He loves the infrastructure that her fame, wealth, and status underwrite for a rapper whose own stock has been drifting for years. The receipts are not in what he keeps saying. The receipts are in what he refuses to do. He will not finalize the divorce 14 months after filing. He will not remove the Remy Ma tattoo from his neck. He will not delete the old Instagram posts. He will not answer the criticism. He will not engage with the fact that the culture has walked out on his narrative. He will not do any of it, because doing any single one of those things would either commit him to a road he is not ready to walk, or expose the arrangement he is not ready to have examined under a light. Instead, he puts on sunglasses, sits in a chair, and lists adjectives. Beautiful, outgoing, smart, fun, love. Check, 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 check. That is not a man in love. That is a man performing a script. And the script exists because the performance is the actual product. It is what keeps the bookings coming. It is what keeps the clips circulating. It is what keeps the audience engaged. Engagement is what keeps the arrangement alive. The moment Papoose stops performing, the moment he stops gushing, the moment he stops appearing at the fights, the moment he stops posting the birthday tributes and the training clips, the value drops. When the value drops, the arrangement ends. That is not love. Love does not require a non-stop press tour to survive. Love does not need a podcast circuit to prove it exists. Love does not hide behind dark lenses. Love does not correct itself from best thing to one of the best things in real time. Love does not pause between adjectives because the speaker is trying to remember the next word. Love does not sit on divorce paperwork for over a year and then announce baby plans for a woman it is not legally free to marry. What Papoose is running is not devotion. It is maintenance. And maintenance continues for exactly as long as it is financially and culturally profitable, and not a second longer. I said this a few videos back, and I will say it again. Watch what people do, not what they say. Papoose says Claressa is the best thing that ever happened to him. Papoose refuses to finalize his divorce. Papoose announces baby plans while still legally married to another woman. Those three facts cannot occupy the same narrative of genuine love. One of them is the truth. The others are the show. The sunglasses are the tell. The missing decree is the confession. And if you have made it to this point in the video, you already knew. You just needed somebody to say it out loud. Which brings us straight to the hero of this whole story, because there absolutely is one, and her name is Remy Ma. While the sunglasses hype man has been sitting on podcast couches reciting adjectives, Remy has been doing something that needs no rehearsal, no coaching, and no tinted plastic. She has been winning. Walk with me through what has actually happened to her in the last 18 months. She was publicly betrayed. She watched her marriage get dismantled in front of the entire internet. She watched her husband walk off with a younger, wealthier woman and parade it across every microphone that would host him. Instead of collapsing, instead of hiding, instead of pulling on dark lenses of her own, Remy Ma walked into a studio. Remy dropped WIFL, a diss track the culture is still quoting for its precision, its specificity, and its emotional accuracy. She hopped on Conway the Machine's head tap and reminded everybody why she is one of the most respected female lyricists to ever hold a microphone. Remy blessed the Big Bronx remix of Ever Since You Left Me alongside French Montana and Max B. Dropped a subliminal so sharp the internet decoded it inside an hour and watched that record cross 2.8 million views in a month. She didn't need a podcast tour. She didn't need to gush about a new man. She didn't need to perform romance for a camera. She didn't need a baby plans headline dropped into a news cycle to change the subject. Remy just went to work. Remy just rapped. The culture answered. The Shade Room sided with her. Reddit sided with her. Complex sided with her. Vibe sided with her. The hip-hop community closed ranks around her. Not because she asked. Because the evidence stood up on its own. One person is in the studio making music. The other is on a podcast making declarations. One is building a career after a breakup. The other is building a narrative after a breakup. While the sunglasses hype man performs devotion on the Danza Project, the queen performs craft on wax. While he corrects himself from best thing to one of the best things, she corrects the record with bars that will outlast every clip. While he glazes a sponsor to keep the arrangement viable, she glazes the microphone with lines that will still get quoted in 10 years. The right person is winning this thing, and the reason has nothing to do with luck or karma. Discipline and craft and integrity always outlast performance and proximity and hustle. Remy Ma does not need to sit on a couch and tell you she is great. Her catalog handles that for her. That is the difference between the hero and the villain of this story. The hero's actions speak. The villain's words speak. In the long run, the actions always outlive the words. The person who does not need sunglasses to speak their truth is always the person telling it. And here is the piece I want everybody to sit with. Remy still has the marriage on paper. Remy has the culture. Remy has the catalog. Remy has the receipts. Remy has the offer to pay her own soon-to-be ex-husband's lawyer just to get him to sign the thing. That is not weakness. That is a woman who has already won and is waiting for the paperwork to catch up. This is only the opening chapter, because this story is not over, not even close. There are at least 2 developments I need you watching for, and I want to be specific because I am tired of channels vaguely promising more chaos. Development 1. The divorce decree itself. At some point Papoose either signs this thing or somebody, Remy, the media, the culture, forces the question of why he hasn't. When that moment lands, every podcast clip, every sunglasses interview, every rehearsed best thing that ever happened to me line is going to be replayed in a very different light. And if the baby actually arrives before the divorce is finalized, the internet is going to eat itself alive. Development 2. Remy's next musical move. If WIFL, the Head Tap verse, and the Big Bronx remix were only the opening rounds, what happens when the Queen of New York decides she is not just picking off pieces, but building a full body of work? That project is coming. When it arrives, it is going to reframe this whole story one more time. If you are not subscribed yet, fix that, because I'm going to be here for every single beat, every clip, every bar, every court filing, every lie told from behind a pair of shades. Drop your verdict below, hit subscribe. Share this with a friend who is ready to defend Papoose in the group chat. And before you go, I need you to click the next video, because a bigger conversation is coming. The next breakdown is about the $8 million deal Claressa Shields is sitting on, the promoter who structured it, and the reason a certain Brooklyn rapper's name suddenly started appearing next to hers on event flyers, sponsorship posts, and training reels. There is a paper trail behind this romance, and once you see the names on it, you are never going to hear the phrase black love the same way again. Click it. Trust me. That is my read, and I will stand on it. See you in the next one.